on my
so now we're live.
on my maybe you can send it to me or something that way. Tag me personally or tag the winery, and that way I can start sharing it.
Okay, we're just chatting, everyone, even though we went.
Yeah.
We're just doing technical issues here.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. I'm tagging you. Amichai.
אולי, אני מבשל משהו במים.
I just tagged you, Amichai, so.
Okay. Let's see. תבואי, תלכי. Okay. Well, there's like a delay because
Exactly.
me live.
Yep. It's a little slight delay here and there.
Like it shows what it was a few minutes ago.
Yep.
Okay, so I'll tell you what, I'm gonna try and share this.
Okay.
To share to groups. Do you have groups on your?
Yeah, but I'm not.
Okay, so do this and that. This.
Yeah, I just did groups. Okay.
Share it to groups, and maybe we'll get more.
We'll see.
Oops.
Okay. Yep, we're live and we got people watching, so let's go talk.
Okay.
All right. So this is Ner-David here from Jezreel Valley Winery, once again with virtual for you wine tasting. Today's special guest in my series of inviting friends who are also winemakers. Soon I'll run out of friends or winemakers. We'll see what happens first. But in my series of friends who are winemakers, I'd like to welcome Amichai Lourie from Shiloh Winery. I have got with me the Shiloh Merlot Shore 2017, which is what I'll be drinking. And Amichai, what do you have?
And I'm lucky, I have a Syrah 2016. And I was smart and I opened it up a couple of hours ago.
Yeah, I wasn't smart, but that's because I was at home keeping people busy till I came over here to the winery. So we're going to be talking about
my son came in.
Oh, let him join.
Keeping our distance, he comes in, says hi, leaves.
No, he can join. It's okay. Okay, so I'm going to be drinking the Merlot 2017. My son was going to join me also, but he disappeared. And I really wanted him to actually be here because this is my oldest son, Adine. He actually, strangely enough, used to have an allergy to Merlot. Only Merlot.
How did you know it's an allergy?
He would drink Merlot, he would break out in a rash. Cab didn't happen.
Wait a second. There's a delay. What? Again?
He would drink Merlot, he would break out in a rash.
You know, I have a few rows somewhere that I'm not sure if it's a Merlot or a Cabernet. I could use that kind of. Here, come taste it.
No, he grew out of it. This is when he was much younger. He grew out of it. But that's how we knew if there was Merlot in the blend. If we gave it to him, he would break out in a rash. It wasn't good. Okay, enough about that. Let's talk about Shiloh, about Amichai, about this wine. Amichai, feel to chime in later on about the Syrah, which you're going to be drinking. Is this your first time drinking that wine?
The Syrah, no, I had a couple of times. I had a couple of
okay, all right.
15, but I think I had the 14. I'm almost sure 14 or 13. I had a Syrah once, and I've had the 16 a couple of times. I think the Syrah is, I think now is the time already to start drinking it. The last time I had it, I think it was too young.
Exactly. 2014 is like bull, is exactly where it should be. But we don't have any left, so I
And
can't.
now it's starting. Yeah.
Anyway, let's talk Jezreel. Let's talk Shiloh. As I said, I have the Shore 2017 Merlot. So first question is 100% Merlot?
Yes, 100% Merlot. But it's not from one vineyard. It's a Merlot that I blend from a couple of different vineyards.
And where are the vineyards?
I have a delay here.
Yeah, I got a delay also. Forget the delay. We'll make do with the delay.
Lost you. Is my internet slow and that's why I don't see you and I got a delay?
Could be. Who knows? If we were doing it in
I
my,
don't know. Maybe I should connect it with a cord.
if we were doing it in my house, I could blame my kids who are sucking all the internet. But here I can't. I'm alone at the winery right now. So where are the vineyards? Tell us where the vineyards are.
The Merlot vineyards are all in the area of Shiloh. It's not all in Shiloh. Some of it in Shiloh, some of it near in Esh Kodesh, some in Itamar, and a little bit of it, a very small amount, is from a vineyard near Dalton.
Ah,
and all together it's blended.
Okay, so for people who don't know the geography, because there are folks out in the States and even some here in Israel who don't know their geography the way they should, Shiloh is in the heart of the biblical Israel, and is quite famous for those people who know their biblical history, because before the temple was built, the tabernacle was situated in Shiloh for quite some time.
And it was actually the capital. The capital of Israel was Shiloh.
Yeah, so very, very special place.
89 years,
yeah. And I'm sure they were making wine 2,000 years ago in Shiloh, but you have resurrected that tradition.
So actually, you can find the ancient wine presses in Shiloh and in the whole area that date back 3,000 years. I actually have a couple of wine presses that are in the vineyard themselves. You know, the vineyards, the rows, and one of the rows had to stop, and then we continued it because it was an ancient wine press there, and we were working around it. It's actually really cool to see ancient wine presses, caves that date back 3,000 years, and we're still there, and it's now happening all over again.
And tell us, well, it's good if you're impatient, by the way, to make the wine. You can take the grapes directly into the wine press. It's a good.
We're thinking about it because there is one of the wine presses there has it's like carved in stone, and there's like a big hole that's made to ferment wine. That I think dates back not 3,000 years, maybe a little bit less. And it's actually it's like I just want to try it, you know?
Well, you know, I'll tell you one quick old wine press story is that we got a call a couple of years ago from when a major commercial wine press was discovered from the Second Temple times, from Bayit Sheni, on the other end of Jezreel Valley, at the other end of Emek Israel, by an archaeological team. And they were so excited to find that there was a winery existing today in Jezreel Valley, they just kind of looked us up on the internet and invited us over. And we got there, and as soon as we got there, first of all, it was wild to stand there, but as soon as we got there, they were pulling out of a cave a complete pitcher, complete, wine amphora.
Really?
Yeah, it was wild. It was so exciting to be there. I have to hunt up for the pictures. I'll send it to you.
That we weren't lucky enough for that to happen, to find something like that. But
it'll happen. It'll happen. Keep digging. Anyway, back to the wine and to you as a winemaker. So now I'm going to taste this, and then I'm going to ask you a question. So first of all, this is my first wine of the day. So Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Baruch Pri Agafen.
Amen. L'chaim.
Wow. So it's. I don't get to drink Merlot.
After the word "wow," I don't need a description. It's enough for me.
So I don't get to drink Merlot that much.
So I'll tell you what. First of all, I think it's my favorite varietal, Merlot. I know it's not very, not a lot of people will like to say that, but I do. I think Merlot is my favorite varietal. And I think the best grapes that we harvest every year are Merlot. This is from day one, and it's getting better and better. We use Merlot also in the flagship wine of the winery, the Mosaic. It's my favorite by far. We also have a Merlot Secret Reserve.
Yes.
We have this wine, a Merlot Secret Reserve.
Ah.
This is an old vintage from 2008.
Wow. When did you first make a Merlot?
It's still going strong. Here, I'll show you the cork. Okay, wait a second. This is the cork of a 2008. Look how cool it is. Okay, it just came out a couple of hours ago.
Wow. What was the first year you made Merlot?
The first year that I made Merlot as a single varietal and not as a blend was 2008 in the Secret Reserve series. In the show, I think we started 2010, 11, something like that. But it was in blends for years. We used to have blends that we don't have today, but Merlot has always been a very important component in the winery. I think Merlot, the secret to Merlot, Secret Reserve, okay. The secret to a good Merlot, in my opinion, is to understand that a Merlot is not just another varietal and it needs extra special attention in the vineyard itself. It's not just finding the right place to plant it, but it's also, and most important, the right way to grow the varietal. I'll give you an example. Like a lot of people like to say that grapes, you shouldn't water it. It should be in a lot of stress, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Exactly.
In my opinion, that's maybe true to some point in a lot of varietals. Merlot, never. That means we
need a lot of water.
We water our Merlot vineyards all the time. That means we usually start now, but we had so much rain this year, and even this week we had rain, so we didn't start watering any of our vineyards. But usually, just when you see it starting to grow, you see it like before it even breaks the brown. It's still like you see it just swells up. From that point, we already start watering our Merlot, and we water our Merlots constantly through the season. We don't stop watering it at all. So some of our vineyards will water it once a week, some twice a week, and we have a vineyard of Merlot that gets water every other day. Very little, but every other day gets water, and that's very uncommon to a Merlot.
Yeah.
And
why Shore? Why the name Shore?
The Shore is a series. In the series of Shore, we have a Cabernet, we have a Merlot, and we have a Barbera, which is a very big seller too, and a unique wine. Shore, because of the history of where we are. We respect the land, we respect our history and our heritage, and in the old ancient times, the country was divided into tribes. Not everybody lived with his tribe, but was divided into tribes. And the blessing of Yaakov to Yosef, and this is Shiloh is in Nachalat Ephraim, which is part of Yosef, is Bechor Shoro Hadar Lo veKarnei Re'em Karnav. And that's why all our everything we all have everything says Shiloh on it, and everything has the logo of the bull, of the show. And for us, it's important. All our wines will say made in Israel, and all our wines we try to have some sort of connection to Israel and to tradition. It's very important to us.
Well, you can't get more biblical than being in Shiloh. But on the other hand, you were recently called a maverick winemaker by the New York Jewish Week. Why do you think they called you maverick?
So, what does maverick mean? In English, but help me out there again. Yeah. What is
It means that you're different, you're unique, you take risk. Maverick.
I think the reason is there are a couple of reasons. First of all, wine by me started as a hobby. And when you make wine as a hobby, then you take things to the extreme and you're willing to do things that aren't by the book. Because you know what? It's a hobby. I want to do it my way. Me and Frank Sinatra, we have the same way. We want to do it our way. So I'm willing to take risks and to do things a little bit different. And when I used to make wine on my own at home, just a couple of hundred to a couple of thousand bottles a year here and there, then I took a lot of chances, also doing things a little bit different in the vineyard, and also in winemaking. And a lot of little things together make things different.
Well, I want to highlight to everybody, they may not know this, but Amichai actually never went to winemaker school. He learned it completely on his own, correct?
Well, not completely on my own. I had a lot of good private teachers, so to speak. I think my number one teacher, where I actually have to admit, it's not just that I learned wine from this person. I think I'm a better person just by learning from him, and that's Nir Shacham from Sorek Winery.
Sure.
Learning from him, it was more than just learning how to make wine. I learned from him a lot. I also learned how, it's like I was like this wild, crazy person. I still am. There's still a lot of fire there. But he sort of just by learning from him and being next to him and listening to him, I can say that it tamed me in a way. And made me not just a good winemaker, but also a better person. And I learned from a lot of other winemakers, and I'm still learning all the time. Arkady Papikian, Itai Lahat, Ilana Bitbul, and Yaakov Uriah, and many other winemakers that we learn from each other a lot. And just meeting sometimes growers in the vineyards or meeting winemakers in the vineyards, just in the winery, it also teaches you a lot. And I'm extremely grateful, and there's so much more to learn. Because every day
I can say when we started Jezreel in 2012. Shiloh was already a name, not just a name, but a wine which I had grown to love. And so, one of our, goals was to walk in the footsteps of Shiloh. So thank you for having created those footsteps.
that's a big compliment, yeah.
Yeah, and we still are.
We have a vineyard that we share. There's a vineyard that we share.
Yes.
We have a vineyard that we share a Shiraz from up north, and
so here let's do a l'chaim, and we'll see if there's any.
L'chaim. Also, for me, it's my first wine, the Syrah. L'chaim, Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei perei hagafen.
Amen. So we can't really clink glasses. I guess you can clink the screen, but yeah, that's about it.
I click the bar.
That's good. And because we also have at all times, but particularly in these crazy days, our sales person hat on as well. If people want to get Shiloh wine in the United States, what can they do?
So Shiloh wines you can get from almost every wine store. We're distributed very nicely all around the country. And if you don't find it there, or in Total Wines even, then you can get it online, either on our website or jwines.com, kosherwine.com. They all.
But your website, Shiloh Winery.
By the way, I have to stop and go somewhere else because I just tasted this wine. There's something that I like about it very much. Okay, it's something special that I like that I don't know, that I have to point out.
Beautiful.
Years ago, I attended a wine tasting with Yair Haidu. Yair Haidu is like
sure
the king. Okay. Also a very nice person too. You know, his father, by the way, was also an amazing person. He connected a lot of music and Torah together. Very, 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 very special guy, his father. Zichron Livracha, passed away a couple of years ago. So I attended a wine tasting with him. And one of the ways that he described one of my wines was at the tasting that it had black, red, and green. That means the first thing, in aromas and in flavors, there are a lot of secondary aromas and spices and a lot of other things that you get. But you start first with like a gold, okay? Black, red, and green. And he said that what's special about Shiloh wines, as although we're ripe and fruity and New World, but in almost every single one of our wines, you get a little bit of green. And for me, it's very important. I like when a wine has also green. It doesn't matter if it's eucalyptus or mint or asparagus or anything like that, okay? And in the Syrah here, what I like, especially in the mouth, is like, it's like a good flavor of green. And for me, that's something that, okay, I push away my plate, although this is a very good wine for food, but I have to focus on that because for me, it means a lot. I'm very, very, very impressed. It's much better than I remember. And I had this bottle of wine maybe a couple of months ago. And it's even nicer, minty flavor to it. And for me, it's a lot in a wine.
Thank you. Thank you. I have this all recorded, so that's good. Quick question. Somebody who joined in later in the broadcast asked, where do you grow your grapes? Mainly around Shiloh, right?
Mainly around Shiloh. When I say around Shiloh, let's say a half an hour drive. From a 2-minute walk to a half an hour drive.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. But that most of our wines were focused on the mountain ridge that starts from south of Yerushalayim to north of Yerushalayim, right? That whole mountain ridge, we focus there. I think there are a lot of special things in that mountain ridge because you can be facing more to the west or more to the east, and it's a completely different terroir. And it's like a 2-minute walk from one place to the other, and you have a completely different terroir. I think we're very lucky because I'm a big fan of blending. When I mean a big fan of blending, it means not just blending different varietals to make a better wine, but also blending different vineyards. So I have like 2 Cabernets that literally are a 3-minute walk away. And I'm not talking about a really fast walk, like a stroll, a 3-minute stroll from each other, 2 different Cabernets, and they're so completely different. And a certain percentage of one and the other makes such a better, bigger, more complex wine that makes all the difference in the world. So actually, when we're planting, and thank God we've been planting every year a little bit, we try to get different things. That means if I have a certain place that I know I can plant now, let's say 20 or 30 dunam, I won't do it all Cabernet there, even though I need it. I'll pick different varietals because I want to blend it up with a different vineyard that's somewhere else, and the combination of the two makes things so much better. And even that Merlot that you're drinking now is can't remember exactly, but it's at least 3 or 4 different vineyards. And at least one of the vineyards was fermented in 3 different ways to get more complexity. The whole idea is that I'm trying to get, when I blend, it doesn't matter if I'm blending the beginning, the middle, or the end, I blend throughout this whole process of making wine. I like to have more tools to work with, more things, more spices, like opening up the spice drawer in your kitchen. You want to have a lot of different things to play around with. Or
I can tell you when we started, we weren't doing that many blends. And then we looked to, again, wineries like Shiloh and others, and we started to kind of adapt ourselves and do a lot more blends. And most of our wine today are blends. When we first started, we were under the spell of the single vineyard, single varietal, and we realized, just as you said just now, that doesn't always mean that you get the best wine. Last question before we go.
You're talking about blends, then I tasted the Icon. I thought I had, or I had my last one. It was a day or 2 before Pesach. I had my last bottle. I thought I had more. I don't know.
That's our Mashiach wine, yeah.
That's a serious blend. I mean, that shows so much about a winery, a winemaker, and everything, that kind of wine. So,
so last question, just I want to keep it to a digestible length we could talk for hours, obviously, as we have, and we will continue to. But for our viewing audience, keeping it to a digestible length, and I see a lot of other friends who joined in, so welcome. Ali Poch, Tal Redovich, Yehuda Vatkin, Yaron Carney, Mordechai Holtz, welcome, Joey Vidan. Thank you. Thank you, Ali Poch. So aging, I've got a 2017 Shore Merlot, and I'll just connect it to today's Daf Yomi in a strange way. So thank goodness I do have some time to keep up with Daf Yomi these days. So some of the silver lining in this craziness. But in today's Daf Yomi, it's talking about we're in the tractate of Shabbat and the Sabbath and the rules of the Sabbath, and it talks about food that's sitting on the fire. And I won't bore you with the whole back and forth, but they get into the fact that there's some foods, the longer you leave them on the fire, the longer you leave them cooking, they get better. And if you had intentionality to put it on the fire for that reason, then they're nervous that you would stoke the fire on Shabbat, even if you put it on the flame before Shabbat. So there's a whole discussion about that, about foods that get better the longer they are on the flame, which reminded me about wine and the whole Torah around wine. And some people are very nervous about it. Until when should I drink this wine? Until when is it going to continue to get better? So what do you have to say about the Shore Merlot 2017?
So the Shore Merlot 2017, I think it's about at least another 6-7 years, if not longer. And I'm always very conservative when I say the aging ability of my wines. And then comes Mark Squires from Wine Advocate or somebody like that, and then gives like an window of 12 years, 13 years, 14 years. I say, you don't know what you're talking about. And then wait a second, this guy knows much better. He knows my wines better than I do. So first of all, I'm very smart to turn on my grill this morning, and I put the potatoes and sweet potatoes with a little bit of good meat schmaltz in it, because that gets better the longer it goes. We're going to have it for dinner. I actually opened today the 2008 Merlot Secret Reserve. Okay. I wonder if you can see colors like that. But it's like, it has like maybe a little bit of bricking on the rim, but it's still red and purple side closer to me. And 2008, we're already 12 years away. And I think I'm making wines a little bit better than I was making then. and better aging ability too.
Okay.
We'll
So
see.
we've got some time. I'll end with this. I'll end with this just because we've got our kids with us all the time now, but we don't have, even though now we're on Pesach vacation and Passover vacation, but for the past few weeks we've been on extended vacation. But people always ask me about my kids' education, and they say, you know, what do you have to say about this school or that school? And I say, well, don't ask me right now. Ask me in 20 years, in 30 years. Then I can give you, you know, what the effects of that education, you know, will be. And I say the same thing about our wines. We've only been making wine officially as a winery, you know, for 8 years. And people ask us all the time about our wines, and I say, I have no idea. You know, come back in 15 years, I could tell you. But right now, I have no idea. So,
Eli Ben Zaken from Shiloh Winery must have been many years ago. I visited the winery there before it was kosher. And he said that one of the ways that he predicts to see not how long it will age, but if it has still a long time in it, he'll open up a bottle of wine, he'll drop the shoulders, put the cork back in, and come back to it in 4 or 5 days. If it's still going strong, that means it still has years to it. If it's going like this, then you know, okay, maybe it has time, but not that long. So I've been using that trick, and I think it's first of all very cool because you enjoy a bottle of wine after 3, 4, or 5 days, and then you see so many different things.
Yeah.
I recommend that.
Well, I will recommend everybody to try it. We're going to end the live broadcast right now. Everybody who wants to learn more about Shiloh Winery or to order wine from Shiloh Winery, go to shilohwinery.com, SHILOH, winery.com. I think I got it right?
Yeah.
ShilohWinery.com. And you can also post messages here, and I'm sure we will answer you, both of us. So thank you very much, Amichai, for being a guest on the
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure. Thank you for
virtual wine tasting. We'll see how we get to this. We'll see how long this crazy period lasts. But thank everybody for joining, and Moadim L'Simcha. Have a wonderful rest of the holiday. L'chaim.
L'chaim.